Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. She Says Happiness. I feel I need to welcome myself back as well, and just in case you've forgotten, and by means of introduction, hi, I'm Mary Ellen. This is where I come to talk to you about all things sewing. So, it has been about a year, I believe, since I last made a vlog, and that was not an intentional thing. It just so happened that there wasn't time in my life to do everything that I have been doing. So, you know, as a busy working mom of a toddler that is very much 99% go all the time, life is just busy and fun, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And I just didn't have time to sew anymore, let alone time to talk about sewing. And that's not to say I don't sew, because I do when I get some time. Sometimes I'll indulge a little bit of sewing in there, but sometimes as well I've just been spending more time with family, with friends, reprioritizing my whole life, I suppose. And you know, I used to really have this impetus that if I didn't get to sew, there was something wrong. And I don't know where that came from, because that's technically not why I began sewing. I began sewing to create a bespoke wardrobe that fitted me well. So I've cleared out anything that doesn't fit me well, is now gone. I wanted to sew so that I could make pieces that would last, that I would wear over and over and over again. But the more I think about it, there's too much in my wardrobe. So actually I'm not getting the chance to wear things over and over and over again. So slowing down, absolute must. And yeah, I mean, life is really demanding. And I suppose that's the whole thing about being a woman and having it all. It does come at a price. And instead of that price being my sanity, I just put a lot of things to the back burner. So yeah, life's been good. You know, I now have a 3-year-old who makes every day interesting and full of wonder. And I absolutely love being there for him, with him, enjoying that. And spending a couple of hours in my sewing room just is not a priority anymore. I'll get the odd half hour or something, and that's actually enough for me. So I am still making, and just so I can prove that, I do have a few pieces that I've sewed in the last couple of months that never made it outside of the sewing room yet. But also this year has been demanding for me as well, health-wise. Ended up with a painfully long stint in hospital as well. And yeah, I suppose I'm really reevaluating priorities and enjoying life with people, prioritizing family, prioritizing friends, you know, because there's an extrovert part of me, but I'm an extroverted introvert, and it's very easy for me to fall into my hobbies, which means I get alone time, and I love alone time. But sometimes I think I verge on that cusp of having too much alone time and not spending enough time with people I really care about. So again, measuring everything up and being quite mindful of it. But honestly, I didn't mean to go away. That was never my intent at all. I just couldn't do everything. Can't juggle all the balls, so something had to drop. Now saying that, I did get, and I'm just thinking back, it's 6 years since I started sewing. Got my first little sewing machine, Christmas 2019. Yes, because I pulled it out in 2020, just before lockdown became a thing, and then I finally had time to learn how to sew, because I'd always wanted to learn how to sew, and I suppose I'd romanticized the notion, listening to the older generation members of the family talking about all the lovely things they made and how they made do and how they mend it and all of that, and I just find that awfully romantic. So I have been sewing, and I'll continue to sew, but just at a much slower pace. And this year for Christmas, I got a new sewing machine. I got an embroidery machine. So I do intend to start doing some embroidery projects. And yeah, that'll be fun. That will be fun. And it will just make me kind of like slow down and enjoy the process a lot more, and stop making for the sake of making, and stop filling the wardrobe that is literally at the point of exhaustion. I mean, the wardrobe is ridiculous size. It's huge, but there is no breathing room in there at all. So times have changed since I last spoke to you. Anyhow, I will share with you how I got on with the embroidery machine once I get it out of the box. It's been a week since Christmas Day and I haven't even got it out of the box. So when I tell you I'm busy, trust me, I'm busy. But I just wanted to come back and say hi. And also Happy New Year, because it's the 2nd of January. It's snowing outside. It's beautiful. And yeah, life is nice. It's enjoyable. It's good. And hopefully this year continues on the same train that it has begun, which has been great time spent with family and friends and just, yeah, having fun. So let me share with you, just so I can demonstrate, sewing has happened. I've made probably quite a few pieces that you'll never see because I'm not going to dig them all out of the wardrobe just to go, hey, I did actually do something productive this year. But I'll show you some of the pieces that are just here because they are. And then I also have something else that I'm doing at the moment. Right, this is terrible, but basically my child has now turned 3. Henry has turned 3. Okay, and as a 3-year-old, he's taking up a hell of a lot more space than what he did as a 2-year-old, and definitely what he did as a 1-year-old. And I'm starting to feel like the spacious rooms are becoming a little less spacious because his little room isn't enough to contain his stuff. So my sewing room has always been the biggest bedroom in the house. Kind of cleaned it and it's been that ever since. But I have, over the last few days, been clearing it out in preparation for redecorating and making it Henry's bedroom because this child just needs the space. He has so much stuff, which Christmas did not help at all. So I have one entire unit completely gone, and everything has been decreased substantially. I'd say about 35% of what used to be in this room is now no longer in this room. And when I finally get my new desks, a lot of this will then be out of the room and we'll have made hopefully about 65% progress. Then it's going to get tough because, as any good crafter will probably tell you, it's not easy to part with the stuff that you've amassed. So yeah, this could be fun, could be interesting. But yes, the whole setup is changing. He needs the space more than I need the space. And me having the biggest room in the house just to sew in is kind of a luxury that is unfair. So everything is changing. Anyhow, right, what have I sewed in recent weeks? Tops. Again, if you're not a stranger to this channel and you're coming back after my hiatus of a year, you'll know that 90% of the time I'm sewing dresses. I wear dresses 95% of the time. It's what I love, and you'll hardly ever see me in separates. However, I got kind of bored of wearing basic sportswear when I was out for a walk with the dogs or whatever, so I just decided to run off a couple of tops to wear with leggings for those days when wearing a dress just isn't practical. So when it is pouring with rain and the winds are howling, I do sometimes throw on a pair of sports leggings. Yeah, it's not the way I like to leave my home, but sometimes I do. Other than to go to the gym, which I haven't done in quite a while either. And I'm thinking that if I do get in control of my time, that's something else that I'll want to make some room for. Okay, so I made some tops. So this is the Brattle top by Cashmerette. It's one of their Cashmerette cloud patterns. This is in a lovely, lovely French terry, and it's that kind of mustard colour that I always veer to with this gorgeous black ditzy. And this fabric's been lying in the stash for quite a while, so I thought, let's get it out. And the only thing I changed about this pattern was that I lengthened the sleeve, because the Brattle top usually has a short kind of like cap sleeve, which you'll see because I made another one of them with some leftover fabric too. So I made this, so that's great, but there was some of this left over. So I made a little cropped sweater, which is the seamwork Astoria. And again, just perfect for those rainy days when you're out in the leggings with the raincoat on, really cozy, really warm. And in contradistinction to the cozy, warm French terrace, which is beautifully soft inside, I had this little piece of cotton jersey left over from a previous make, which I got from Jenny Stitches. So I also now have the brattle top made in this as well. What else did I make? So I made, so I had a few months ago made a deer and doe, I believe it's called orange dress. If I'm wrong, I'll put it in the comments below. And I loved it so much, I thought I'm going to make another one for Christmas. I didn't even wear it, to be honest. And here again is the problem. So this is beautiful. I love it. It's made in a jersey. It's got gorgeous length as well. It's made in a glitter jersey, which came, I think, from New Craft House ages ago. And I just love this cutout section. I think it's really nice. If I have a picture of the dress that I made previous, which was just in a lovely bamboo jersey, it'll give you an idea of just how this works. It's beautiful. It sits really, really nicely. It's lovely long sleeves. But the whole point of this was I was to get a slip to wear underneath. But I couldn't find a slip that I loved, actually. So that's why that one didn't get worn at Christmas. But there you go. I've got a Christmas dress ready to go for next year. What else have I made? I believe this is the arbutus robe. And this is a Helen's Closet pattern. Beautiful dressing gown in a bamboo toweling. So that was lovely. That was a great project. If I had time, I would talk a bit more in length about some of these patterns, but I don't. So I have Henry in nursery. First day nursery's reopened, and I popped Henry down the road just for a couple of hours. So I'll be going to pick him up really, really shortly and enjoy the day while the sun is still shining. So in addition to that, then I have a couple of Sew Over It patterns as well. So Sew Over It released their ebook way back. I think it was around October time. And I've only actually got to make one thing from that book so far, although I do intend on getting the coat pattern out before this winter is over. But this is the Clementine pinafore dress. I've made 2 of these now. So I'll pop a picture. I haven't got a picture of this one on. I'll pop a picture of the other one that I made. Can't even remember what it looks like now. See, that's where my brain is. It's just too many tabs open at once. But this is a lovely basic pinafore dress, which nicely fits in at the back. And yeah, really, really nice. Perfect autumnal layering piece. So I loved that. And then the last thing sitting here in the room is my Sew Over It Georgie in an ITY fabric from Minerva, which was designed in collaboration with what Abby makes. And I quite like this. It's not really my colour, but for some reason I kind of veered to it. Probably more for the print, but yeah, haven't worn this yet either. So I just feel like that kind of baby powder blue isn't a winter colour, so I haven't grabbed for it. It's remained in the sewing room ever since. But yeah, that's the current state of affairs. And I did do half an hour of sewing earlier, and I started sewing up one of my favourite patterns ever, which is Schultz Apparel's Gerda. And if I can show you briefly here, I have this lovely cotton cherry print fabric, which I got from Rainbow Fabrics back when the Knitting and Stitching show was in Lisburn recently. So yeah, I've started that, and I got the bodice started sewn up. I got the collar pieces pretty much sorted. They just need assembled and put together, and then the skirt sorted. So that's all I'm doing today. I'm not really doing an awful lot. It was just to take half an hour to sew out before I keep clearing out this space. So I'm going to do a little bit more at that before I pick up Henry, because nothing gets done whenever Henry's under my feet. That's just the way of it. I think I've spent the last week playing with toys. When we haven't been out and about, I've been playing with toys. So yeah. And he's been playing with my sewing machine, so it works both ways. He randomly ran into the room a couple of days ago, and I was just tidying out like sewing books and magazines and whatnot. And he was like, "It's time to thread the machine." And I was like, "What?" He was, "Let's thread the sewing machine." So we had to thread the sewing machine, and I was like, well, do you know what? At least he's interested. Short-lived, because then there was a dinosaur looking to be fed. And yeah, we moved on from that then pretty quickly. Anyhow, as I say, I don't know how often I'm going to be on, because the time just isn't there. And when it's there, it comes as such a surprise. I always go off and do something sporadic. I like spontaneity, so I just get these whims, spur of the moment, and disappear, and we go somewhere. And that's kind of how I work. So yeah, it is winter though, so things probably are not as day trippy as they used to be. We're not out in the caravan obviously as much because the winter months are here. So yeah, I might have more to share with you. But in the meantime, if you're still sticking around, thank you. I don't know when I'll be back, but I will, and hopefully have much more to share with you then. In the meantime, I really do hope you have a wonderful 2026 and that you're all enjoying sewing or whatever crafting you're up to, because we all need a little bit of it at least every now and again. So, right, back to clear out. Lovely to chat. See you all soon. Bye.